What the sigma is this? That's not an exponential graph. What is that?
It's a graph of logistic growth. This is an exponential graph.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But like, for example, what does this carrying capacity mean? Like, this one's like stop growing compared to the exponential graph?
Well, think of logistic growth as exponential growth but realistic. For example, think about the world's population. I mean, it's got to stop at some point.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, are there any other examples that we see in our daily life? Like, is there scientific stuff?
Of course, there's like birth rates and cell growth, plenty of examples in science. Do you remember COVID?
Oh yeah, that was like not skibidi.
Yeah, it's been taxing our health all the time.
Oh, can we like model like the disease rate or like the way that the virus is transferred?
Of course. Here's how it's done.
Now we can actually see COVID being graphed here, for example, in Austria and Switzerland, respectively. We see that the cases starts to plateau after all. It stops growing. We see the carrying capacity about 15,000 over here and a little bit more on the other one. Now, when we want to actually take a deeper dive into how these actually works or how these graph equations are, we see that the growth rate or the dy over dt, the derivative, is modeled by ky times 1 minus y over m, where the m is the maximum value such carrying capacity. And we also see that derivative is the greatest when it's m over 2, or the fastest growth rate. Let's take a look back at this graph. We see that about the 30-day mark for both of these graphs is where it grows the most and where there are most number of people infected. And at the end of it is when the growth, when the amount of cases kind of stops growing as fast because the amount of people aren't getting infected as frequently. Now, a common question may be asked at this point is,
wow, can we also model sports with this?
Wow, that's a great question. And of course, the answer is yes. Now let's take a look at an example, an NBA example. So when we take a look about, let's say like an average NBA player, let's say Joe Ingles, maybe a little bit better because he's played more than about 4 seasons. But we see that his points per game over the years has actually increased when he like in his prime, when he's getting better, but then starts to decrease or plateau after a while. Same with a slightly better player. Let's say Russell Westbrook, his points increase and then plateau, kind of similar to the COVID cases earlier. Also, let's say like in the free throws, for example, not just scoring, we see someone as great as Kevin Durant, one of the GOATs, right? His free throw percentages get stuck at 90. The growth not as much, and it kind of gets stuck and plateaus there. When we put that all together, for example, their player efficiency rating, Joe Ingles and Russell Westbrook, both at the same time, increase, and then their impact, which was a part of their efficiency on the court, kind of plateaus, and their efficiency and their usages aren't as good. And if we wanted to graph this, you see the PER right here, right? Starts to decay. It goes up and then it starts going down. And then we can actually model this with another similar graph here. We just see NBA PER per growth. We see that the growth is here, fast as the M over 2 at their prime, and it starts to plateau. They start to stay about the same skill level. But with all statistical analyses, there's always going to be an outlier, someone that stands out from the rest. And who's that person that stands out? Well, it's, of course, the GOAT himself, LeBron James. LeBron James, his point per game starts at 20.9, peaks when he's in his prime, goes down, but we see an increase. He's 39 years old, 37, 38, don't matter. 30.3 points per game, 28.9 points per game. He does not stop. He defies the curve. But let's take a look at his actual statistics right here. His three-point shot up to 41%. Field goals up to 55%. His free throws, they must be up, should they?
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
But through all this, I hope you guys remember that logistic growth can be modeled in various ways. Whether it's through sciences, COVID cases, population size growth, whether it's measuring NBA players' primes, their progression, their PER, all of that nonsense. I think it's all important that we take away that this is very important in our lives and that learning how to analyze this is a very important skill. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching, and hope you guys have a great day.